Welcome to Television Sydney News. I'm Bianca Martins. It's great to have you with us. In this week's bulletin, police seized 5 kilograms of heroin and $200,000 in cash during raids across Sydney. The federal government bridges the gap between Western Sydney students and universities across Sydney, and an iconic restaurant in Campbelltown is set to receive a makeover. But first, Northwest Sydney motorists face gridlock on local roads as construction works to widen the M2 and work on the Northwest Rail Link get underway. Demolition for the 4-kilometre SkyTrain, which runs from Bella Vista to Rouse Hill, started in Kellyville last week. The work is expected to generate more than 6,500 extra truck and car movements every day. At the M2 Epping Tunnel, widening of the westbound lane is expected to take 8 months, during which 2 lanes of eastbound traffic and 2 lanes of westbound traffic will use the widened citybound tunnel. 5 kilograms of heroin and $200,000 in cash has been seized during a series of police raids targeting members of an alleged crime syndicate. 6 people were arrested following the raids on 9 premises, including a heavily fortified home and a bottle shop in Sydney southwest on Wednesday. 14 blocks of heroin and a kilogram of methamphetamine and a quantity of ecstasy was seized. Police will allege a drug transaction was in progress during one of the raids. 4 men and 2 women have been charged with supplying commercial quantities of heroin, and all were refused bail before appearing in court on Thursday. The investigation is continuing. The federal government hopes to bridge the gap between high school students and universities across Sydney following the launch of the Bridges to Higher Education program last week. The government injected more than $21 million into the programs, which will help students from socially disadvantaged backgrounds take part in programs offered by the 5 universities partnering in the projects. Bridges to Higher Education aims to equip students, their families, school staff and community groups with tools and information so that school leavers can make informed decisions about their future. It also hopes to engage students through learning opportunities and other activities that support academic outcomes. The program was launched by Senator Chris Evans and representatives from the 5 universities.
We have a target of getting 40% of young people to university because the jobs of the future require higher skills, require university and trades education.
University of Western Sydney Chancellor Peter Shergold said the program was, of course, a gold medal for Australia.
Look, it's very important because you've got to increase the aspiration of kids going to school in Western Sydney whose mums and dads haven't gone to university, that they can. That this is a real opportunity to open up a world for them, and that's what these bridges are all about.
The initiative will develop new, innovative and integrated programs that draw on academic strengths of the respective partners. Students will benefit from mentoring, tutoring, homework clubs, work experience, career coaching and scholarship incentives.
There's a range of programs we'll be using the funding for. We work with schools all the way from primary through to secondary school. We talk to them about what university's like, what the benefits are. We get them on campus. We provide mentors for them. They can follow a university student for the day and get a sense about what it's like to go to a lecture. That's just one of the programs. Using this funding, we'll also be providing literacy programs with books going out to primary schools and secondary schools across the region with books and homes. We'll be working with the AFL to try and inspire disadvantaged kids about education, and we'll be doing a range of other programs using the Bridges money.
One of the wonderful programs, I think, is the TVS documentary series. There are 2 series, one aimed at the younger age group, 7 to 12, and the other series is aimed at older children and adults making the transition to university. The series will run over the next 18 months, and I think will create change, absolutely, in the minds of young people about when they start to think about whether they can get to university or not.
The Bridges to Higher Education project is targeted at building opportunities for students with a lower socio-economic background and for those who are socially disadvantaged. The launch was well received by Fairfield High School students, who said they are now more keen than ever to take part in programs offered by the 5 universities in partnership with the Bridges program.
I think it's a great idea, and I think it really boosts my confidence and self-esteem to try and get to university.
It obviously does open many areas for you. It gives you many opportunities, and he just gives you a better understanding of what you have ahead of you and what you can choose from.
Yeah, I think it's an awesome idea because mainly people from these areas don't know that they have the opportunity to go to university, and this program opens up the opportunities, and yeah, I reckon it's cool.
The project will work closely with more than 100 primary and high schools across Australia. With Campbelltown's iconic Fisher's Ghost restaurant failing to sell at auction, the owner is ready to give revamping it another shot. The former restaurant in Queen Street dates back to the 1830s and has also been used as a flour mill, a shop and a private hospital before falling into disrepair in recent years. Owner Nirma Taluja says to bring the iconic site back to life, Campbelltown Council must let her cut down surrounding trees and build a 10-storey aged care residence behind it. Dr Taluja says she doesn't have enough money to restore the restaurant on its own and would rely on money from the development. But Campbelltown Council's General Manager Paul Tossi says the building and trees are heritage listed and any application would have to be considered in light of the surrounding area. A senior bureaucrat says the decision to close the Cronulla Fisheries Research Centre was made without cabinet consideration or a costs versus benefits analysis. Department of Primary Industries Director General Richard Sheldrake has told a parliamentary inquiry the full costs won't be known until the process is complete. The Public Service Association describes the move as a cynical attempt to cut jobs and has called on the government to reverse the decision in the light of job losses created by closing Kurnell Oil Refinery. Hollywood came to Picton a few days ago as Menangle Street was transformed into a movie set for the filming of The Wolverine starring Hugh Jackman. Hundreds of people lined the streets and others climbed onto rooftops hoping to catch a glimpse of Jackman. The first scene filmed featured Jackman walking through the town's old hardware doors as a group of hunters loaded their pickup truck with bags and rifles. Youngsters from St Anthony's Primary School were taken to meet Jackman on set later in the day. In the past 2 months, 4-year-old Neve McGarity has been diagnosed with a very aggressive brain tumour and has had about 13 procedures, including 2 craniotomies. The Rosemeadow girl's bravery has touched many in the community, and last month, Scott Cam of TV show The Block made a special visit to her at the Sydney Children's Hospital in Randwick. Neve has radiation while under general anaesthetics and chemotherapy in a bid to beat the tumour. At 13 years old, Castle Hill's French mime magician Francoise is already making a name for himself as a standout performer. Underneath the white clown makeup, Patrick Taylor is one chuffed 13-year-old. Patrick placed second at this year's Melbourne Magic Festival.
When Dad told me that I was going to be part of the project, I was extremely surprised. I thought he was just mucking around with me. And then he showed me the email that they sent us, and I didn't realise that it was actually real. And then when the guys came over here, I just thought, this is the coolest thing.
He also came third when he performed as Francoise for the first time in New Zealand in 2010. He says he developed the Francoise character in Year 5 when his French teacher asked him to do a magic show in school.
So that's how it came on, and then I did that one little show, really enjoyed it, and so we're here now with it being an international act. Francois does a very Charlie Chaplin style sort of thing. He uses the props around him to make the magic, and that's how he gets through things. A bit of a cross between Mr Bean and Marcel Marceau.
Patrick began performing magic when he was just 6, which was the same age as his father Sean Taylor, a corporate magician and co-owner of the online Taylor's Magic Shop, started perfecting his act. 2 of the runners in this weekend's City to Surf will have more than the finish line in mind as they complete the 14-kilometre course. Adam Mobbs is raising funds for Northcote Disability Services in recognition of their care for his 3-year-old daughter Matilda, who was born with spina bifida. Roy Martin and his wife Debbie will wear their Australian Lung Foundation singlets to raise awareness of conditions such as emphysema. Mr Martin quit smoking after being diagnosed with the disease in 2007 and hopes to alert others to the risks. Panthers on the Prowl continues to help Penrith a decade after the centre opened. The program aims to help children and teenagers at risk of heading down the wrong path. Based out at the PENRITH Panthers home ground, the young people often receive visits and advice from players at the Western Sydney club.
Our programs here at the Prowl are quite varied. Probably our cornerstone program is the classroom program, whereby we bring school children in from both primary and secondary schools within the area. Those that are a little bit at risk of disengaging at school, they may be unmotivated, and we bring them into a classroom environment here where they're taught a lot of valuable life skills.
Nepean High School's Levi Omar is just one of many success stories.
Well, at Panthers on the Prowl, we learn about careers we could take for the future and just opportunities with our career in the future. I've recently got an interview for a job by coming here, and it's helped me out quite a bit.
Injured Panthers first grader Blake Austin was one of the many players that regularly dropped in to have a chat to the young people.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's putting the kids in our community in great stead, and I know school can be a bit of a challenge for some kids, and I think some of the kids that we've got in the program definitely find it a bit of a challenge. So I think it's great what they're doing, and they're just bringing fun back into learning, I guess. Yeah, they love it. I know. Again, when I think back to when I was a kid, and any interaction with a footballer or anyone who holds a bit of a position in society, you know, I just loved being around them and just wanted to meet them. So yeah, I think they're pretty happy to see us.
Greater Western Sydney Giants reversed their recent form to deliver a second AFL win as coach Kevin Sheedy celebrated his 1000th match on Saturday. The Giants now face the Gold Coast Suns this weekend. More details on this and the first Land of the Giants TV show will launch straight after the news here on TVS. Oatlands teenager Madison O'Connor is in Ireland competing in the Under-19s World Ultimate Frisbee Championships. The game is a cross between gridiron, netball and touch football. Players must work the frisbee up into the end zone while players on the other team attempt an intercept or try to knock the frisbee down. O'Connor says she likes the spirit of the sport that sees players settle disputes rather than referees. Local supporters held a party at Campbelltown Catholic Club last week to cheer on Erin Densham, the triathlete, as she won an Olympic bronze medal. Densham led all the way in the 10-kilometre running leg of the women's triathlon, only to be pipped in the final 50 metres of the race of an Olympic silver or gold medal. Supporters at the club sang, cheered and shouted "Aussie, Aussie, Aussie" throughout the race. Former UFC champion FORREST Griffin ventured to southern Sydney's Gymea recently. The 33-year-old spoke about his impressions of Australia and his recent ankle injury.
I like it. Yeah, it's nice. Last time I was here it was a little warmer, but I'm from the desert, so, you know, it's hot as hell where I'm from. So this is a nice change of pace.
And how long have you been here for?
Almost 2 hours.
Yeah,
maybe
also
3.
fresh straight in?
Hours. I mean, I was training pretty good, and then I hurt myself, so when I get back, I'll get back on it.
What did you do?
I just popped my ankle.
Yeah. How long does that set you back?
Nah, it's not bad, maybe a week or 2.
Griffin beat long-term rival Tito Ortiz in his last start fight last month. It was the third bout between the pair, with Griffin winning the final 2 fights after losing the opening clash in 2006. Since the latest loss, Ortiz has slammed Griffin's alleged use of testosterone replacement therapy. He rose to prominence after winning the first season of the reality TV show The Ultimate Fighter. Shoppers in Epping can see more than bargains in a shop window now that Puppeteer Wares Champion has moved in. The Parramatta artist makes his wares in a vacant shop that he also serves as a tea house.
From the time I could hold a pencil, apparently all I wanted to do was draw and be a cartoonist, according to my parents. And one thing led to another, and sure enough I ended up getting into animation, and animation and puppetry share a lot of the same principles. You're mimicking life. I always had this fascination for wooden puppets and check puppets, particularly because of the style and technique in what they create and the characters they are able to portray.
Champion says his vision for the space is to give the community somewhere to sit, talk and imagine.
When we first came up with the idea for the Lutke Tea House, we thought it was pretty much impossible to do. The idea behind it is sharing community through craft and art. and specifically through puppetry, the philosophy behind the Lutke Tea House, which is bringing something into the world that we believe it's missing. The opportunity to sit down and take your time with something.
And that's all the news from us here at TVS. For more information on any of these stories, pick up your local Fairfax community newspaper. I'm Bianca Martins. We'll see you next time.